Hello, and welcome to Insightful Conversations with your host, Three Principles practitioner, Adey-Jones. Join her each week as she welcomes some of the world's leading Three Principles teachers and practitioners who share how this understanding has dramatically improved the quality of their lives and the lives of those they work with.
I'm so thrilled to have Marnix Pauwels with me today. Marnix is a transformative coach, copywriter, and author living in Amsterdam. He's working hard on making the world a nicer place by writing books, blogging, and coaching people back to their natural, joyful, and resilient states. He was a depressed and anxious addict who has happily come alive again. Welcome, Marnix, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, sure thing. Hi, Del.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good.
Great. Well, we already know each other. I feel like I spend time with you every week. We're in the same mastermind together, so
we are. And we had an amazing coffee in Le Connor as well.
No, really great. So, well, I'm so thrilled to have you here today. So, I'd like to hear a little bit about what your life was like before you came across the principles. So, if you'd like to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, I came across the principles. I'm not sure. I think I have to figure it out one day. Maybe 2.5 years ago, 3 years. I don't know. Before that, a few years before that, I quit drinking. I've been drinking for a long time in my life. I was a copywriter. I've been a copywriter for 30 years. I still do it sometimes when a cool gig is presented to me. And so like 7.5 years ago, I quit drinking. I had a life of a lot of alcohol, a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of numbing myself out, not a lot of fleeing and cynicism and fear of life. And despite of that, I was able to have like a pretty successful career in advertising. But I was very unhappy and very lost for a very long time as well. I did a lot of copywriting. I worked in the music industry for 2 years. I am an official singer-songwriter.
I know. I've heard you sing. I love that song that you posted on Facebook. Which song was it again?
I think Always a Woman.
That's right.
Yeah, by Billy Joel. Mm-hmm. So, and I still sing sometimes, but just in the safety of my own home. I have a really small studio, and I love singing, but I don't have any plans to do anything with it. But I love to create. I love to do stuff. I love to record videos. I love to write blogs. I love to write books. I love to make new stuff and be available for the universe to use me, make stuff. Yeah. So that's one of the things that happened to me after quitting the drinking. And I had a few epiphanies when I stopped drinking around the fact that we are not what we think we are, or we are not our thoughts. And lo and behold, a few years later, someone pointed out to me that she said, just take a look at Three Principles, because it sounds a lot like what you're talking about constantly. And I checked it out, and I didn't fall in love with it immediately, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But after a while, I circled back to it, and then it was completely love at second sight. And I love to be part of the community, the Inside Out community, the Three Principles community. Mm-hmm. I've been to a couple of conferences in London. I went to Le Connor this year with Jocelyn Lipensky and Bar Patterson. I did Supercoach Academy. I did a few events. I did an event with Adey-Jones. And I feel like really very much at home in the community.
I know. Well, you're a great addition. I love your writing. You're very prolific. I mean, fabulous Facebook posts. So what was one of, I love, well, first of all, I want to go back to what you were saying about you had that realization before you even knew the principles, because that's what's so amazing is, these principles, we don't teach each other something. We just uncover what's already there. So you knew what was happening. You knew, how you said you were feeling your thinking before you even had an official title of the Three Principles. So, yeah. So talk to me a bit more about that.
That's probably because it's true.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so when you read about Buddhism or Taoism, it always points to the same thing. So through principles is not a it's just a new or alternative way to describe the same thing. So as they say, you know, you have a finger that's pointing to the moon, but it is about the moon and it's not about the finger. And the three principles are just one of the loveliest fingers I know. But the inside out understanding or the single paradigm or the clarity principle, whatever, it all points to the same thing. And it's something we can see for ourselves in a moment of, for me, it was in a moment of despair, in a moment of surrender, I guess. I just fell out of my thinking. And I had this realization that I was really able to, or I was the witness of everything that was happening to me, which made it clear to me that I couldn't be what was happening to me. And I thought I was depressed, like it was a part of me. And then suddenly, all of a sudden I realized, no, it's happening within me. It's just an experience I'm having. And although when I saw that for the first time, it didn't really change that much, but it opened something up. And then it started, the crack became bigger and bigger. And then I had a few epiphanies, like, you know, a few different oneness experiences. One was really amazing, like a very powerful drug, but only for 5 seconds. And I had another one, which was not very spectacular. I call it the most beautiful disappointment of my life, where I suddenly realized that I was the universe looking through the eyes of Marnix. It was so clear to me.
Oh my goodness.
And it was really unspectacular. But in a way, it was a big thing to discover.
That's so interesting you would say unspectacular. That sounds pretty spectacular to me, to experience.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that's the whole paradox of it, because it didn't come with fireworks, and it was not like an orgasmic thing. It was more like a like many of the insights I've had over the last few years. You see something and it's suddenly extremely clear to you. You also feel a little bit dumb, but you didn't see it before.
Exactly.
So it's actually really cool, but also really obvious.
I love that. I know I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, but I thought insights were supposed to come with this great big, you know, fanfare and a big booming voice and, you know, your wisdom. And like you say, it's sometimes the most common sense, you know, very normal thing. It's like, oh my gosh, how didn't I see this before?
Yeah, you get used to you get a feel for it. So because I've been looking in this direction for a few years now. To me, it's totally obvious when I have an insight, but it's also obvious when I'm close to having an insight. So it's like, there's one coming. I'm not sure when it will be there.
How does that feel?
Well, I don't know. It's just because I've had so many insights over the last few years, bigger ones and smaller ones. It's like you get in like an extra sense for it. Like you get attuned to the energy that is in front of just before the insight. So I just know that something's happening, something is changing, something is coming up.
Yeah.
But I'm not just not aware of the content yet. So and then I leave it at that. It's like, you know, it will come whenever it wants to come. Yeah. But I know that one is around the corner.
Yeah, that's so funny. I don't think I'm even. You know, because you hear people talk about in this community, like, you know, they're on the hunt for the next insight. And it's like, it's like, if it happens, it happens, you know, and it's usually completely unaware. It's more of those like, oh my God, it's one of those.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, but we can make anything into a thing. You know, exactly. we can pick up meditation and turn it into a black belt martial art. We have to be competitive at everything we do. So this was actually quite funny at a few of the intensive I did with more people, or some of the programs I did. There's oftentimes there is this atmosphere that people are like wary of other people having insight. Like, did you have one yet? No, not yet. I heard he had one. It was a big one, right? Yeah. this is my third day and I didn't even have a small one yet. It's just how we function.
Yeah.
We hear about this thing, which is called an insight, or an aha moment, or whatever, light bulb going off. And then we have an idea what it means, or what it looks like, or what it will mean for us, or what it will change for us. And then we get interested in it, and we want it. We want it. We want it because we think when we have one, everything will be fine and everything will be hunky-dory.
Yeah. Well, it's living in the future. It's like it's not being content and happy with what is in that moment. And it's so funny because I don't even use the word insight which is pretty ironic considering this is called Insightful Conversations. But because sometimes the deepening of the understanding is so gentle that it doesn't have that big sort of, oh my God, from a black and white world to a world of Technicolor. It sinks so subtly deeper and deeper and deeper that you see something. And that's just as much of a valid insight than those big sort of, as you say, light bulb moments. To just see something at a subtle, deeper level.
Well, why don't you call it a small insight? Or a tiny insight? What does it matter anyway?
Exactly, what does it matter?
Let's make up a new word for it. Who cares?
What can we make up? You're the copywriter.
I don't feel very spontaneous right now. 5 hours ago, I finished a 2-day intensive.
Oh my goodness!
And I'm still pretty full of that.
Yeah.
Because it was really, really very cool. They're all so different. So I feel a little bit, maybe some will, a new word will creep up in my mind. I let it go.
I don't think we need
in the next few minutes, something will happen.
Exactly. We know what we're talking about. So I know you've written many, many books, but you're about to publish a new book. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. I did. Like maybe a month ago.
Ah, okay, great. So tell us a little bit about that. It's a collection of your musings on Facebook, is that right? Yeah. So
well, it's not really a big deal to publish your own book on Amazon. You just use the Kindle software, and because I've been around computers for a very long time, I did my own website. The website I have right now, I've been making websites for many years. I'm not really the best designer in the world, not by far, but I'm very tenacious. I'm very disciplined. If I want to learn something, I try as long as I can in order to become better at it. And this whole book thing, I just, because I collected everything I posted on Facebook, I'm very happy that I had the insight to do that, because otherwise I would have to scroll for 1.5 years of posts, and it's a nightmare. Because a year or so ago, I decided that everything I post on Facebook, I also put it in a Word document. Okay. It was really easy for me to collect all of it, change the order a little bit, because there was some synchronicity in there. When I talk about my daughter, and in one story, she's still at home, finishing high school, and the other, I'm moving her to her dorm. So I had to make that a little bit more logical. Yeah. And then, that's how it works for me. Like I sit down and I think, I think there's a book coming. Wow. And then I just open a document and I write the title of the book, and I think, now I have a title. What would I want to write on the back of the book? What would be the story be on the back of? And I just write the story for the back of the book, and then I think, I want to write about insights at least. So I open the page and I write chapter insights, and then below the chapter I write, here a little story about insight will appear one day, and then I go on, and I want to write about talking to people, or listening to people, or loving people, or whatever. And then I just build this really sloppy skeleton, and a few hours later I have like 15 pages of possibility. It's not really anything yet, but it's a start. So what I always tell people when they come to me and say, I want to write a book, how do you write a book? I said, don't write a book, write a page. Just write enough pages to have a book.
That's so great. And what you've just outlined is exactly what I did myself on the way up to Lacona. When we were on to Lacona, I had an idea for a book, and I didn't exactly do the covers, but, you know, just breaking it down in what do I want to talk about? What would each chapter look like? And then just building it out from that. And it did seem much more manageable than this whole sort of concept of, oh my God, I've got to start writing a book. Where do I begin? You know? So that's
that's you see that a lot of the times with these abstract things like books or quitting an addiction. It's so big that we already get tired before we start. But nobody writes a book. You just start writing something and it will turn into a book. But many people think that writers, the second after the moment they start writing, it's already exactly the way it is when you buy the book.
Yeah.
But even Stephen King has like 5 editors, people who constantly go through his text, although he's a brilliant writer. So we don't know that. We think you have to start exactly where the first word has to be the first word that will appear in the finished project.
Yeah.
It's not the case, because my first books were edited like a maniac. You know, when I got back these piles of paper, and it was so, you know, I didn't really want to do it anymore. Like when I went through all the papers and all the notes that were made by the editors, it's like, oh God, I have to do everything all over again. But that's part of the whole thing. And then you just start again, and then you open up one page and you change it, and before you know it, you are 10 pages in the edited version, and then you're 20 pages, and it's just one very simple step after the other. But when
So what I'm curious, you made a reference to it's like addiction, in that the overwhelm of thinking this is a really big project, whether it's to write a book or whether it's to you know, maybe look at a habit that you have that you don't want anymore. So what would you say are the parts of understanding the principles that are most helpful for you in both those? You've described the process. I'm just wondering mentally, sort of what it is about the principles that helps you get through those processes, whether it's giving up
what I was referring to was the fact that when we quit drinking, for example, you suddenly imagine this whole life without booze. And it's such a big thing. Oh, no more booze in Christmas. No more cozy nights with my friends at the side of the river. No more celebrating. No more this, no more that. And it's such a pile of no mores that it sounds way too big. But it doesn't work like that. Life doesn't work like that. You don't have all those moments at once.
Yes.
You have one, and then you have another one and another one. And what I find really helpful in the principles is, besides the realization that we're, you know, just a tiny bit under all the thinking we do, all the hurtful thinking we do, you're totally fine, which is a really cool thing to realize. The other thing is that the principles help me get more comfortable around being uncomfortable. And an addiction is nothing more than getting rid of your uncomfortable feelings. You just want to feel good for a moment. That's how addictions start. And the thing is, you get so used to these tiny moments of relief that you just start to chain them together, and then they become like a process or an automated thing you keep doing over and over again. And the thing you want to get rid of one day is the thing, you know, the addiction causes just more feelings of being uncomfortable. And then you use the addiction again. So you're feeding the addiction by being addicted, by using. So simply by realizing that it's a very human thing to feel uncomfortable. It's not a big deal. But we addicts, and I don't talk in language like we're addicts. I don't believe in that. Really, it's not like it's not a thing. It's just a word for typical behavior. That's it. I don't believe in addicts like there's something in your head that's causing it. No. It's bullshit.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that one. It is. It's just describing a pattern of behavior that maybe you know, just a habitual pattern that can be broken in a second. And as you say, it's purely just, you know, looking for an outside source to alleviate some sort of anxious thinking, but not innocently thinking that that's going to do it. Whereas we know if we don't do anything with our thinking, it's going to pass on naturally anyway, and we're going to rebound back to that wonderful state of well-being that's in all of us.
Yeah, but that is something somebody has to tell you, because every time I meet with a client and they see this, they say, why didn't somebody tell me this before? Why don't they teach this at schools?
Exactly.
Why doesn't the government make this like a thing we have to learn?
Mm-hmm.
I said, because they don't know.
No, exactly.
And then the second thing they say is, this is so simple. Yeah. Why don't we make everything so complicated? Say, yeah, well, because that's what the mind does.
I know.
The mind loves the puzzles, and it creates the puzzles because it can lose itself in the puzzles. It creates problems in order to be able to kind of solve them.
That's so funny, but it's true. And it's like, I mean, I love it. That's why Jack called his book, Why Didn't Somebody Tell Us? I mean, it's so simple. And that's why I think it's so great, these programs we have out there, whether it's iHeart or Spark or whatever it is, where we're taking this into the schools and we're teaching the children this, because it is so simple. And I think also, like when we grow up, I keep thinking about sort of, when I was growing up, I always thought that I could affect people. Whether it was to like my mum going, you're driving me crazy, or whatever it is. I mean, we really do. We think that everything that we're feeling is coming from the outside in, whether it's, another person or our circumstances. It didn't occur to me for the first 50 plus years of my life that wasn't happening that way. I mean,
in a way, we do make people crazy. As long as all the parties involved believe that that's how it works, it works like that. Mm. And until you find out that it's just a misunderstanding, it's just something we've been taught. But before that, it really works that way. When somebody says something, it screws you. It can make you angry or sad or whatever, because we've learned that it works that way. Exactly. But when you get under the hood, or when you start to really see what happens in real life, how inconsequential, we're not always responding exactly the same thing in the same way to the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. So there's so many evidence to see that it doesn't work that way.
I know.
But in a way it does. I don't think that you should take the three principles to the extreme in order to say, well, it's always your own fault. Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't seem that way. So I think you've got to be respectful for the fact that it looks that way.
Yeah.
Because it sounds really harsh if you say, hey, it's just your thinking.
Yeah.
I don't really like people saying that all the time.
No, I don't either. I really don't. And I do believe that, as Sid said, life is a contact sport. There is stuff that is going on, and we are impacted by external matters, but it's how we interpret it that really is ultimately the free will that we have. Whether we whether we take it personally, or we just can sort of go, oh, wait a minute, that person's got some suffering going on there. They're really struggling with whatever it is, their mood, their low mood, and they're acting out. And just having that, so it's not the dismissal of it's just our thinking. Let somebody, behave in a way that's either harmful or painful to us. But there's that we can separate with I'm not taking this personally, because they're clearly in their own thinking over there, whatever they're doing. But it frees us of constantly being at the other end of something, or feeling like sort of hurtful words mean something about us.
Yeah, to me, it seems like an endless process of being a little bit more relaxed than the day before.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Just being relaxed, being a human being. Mm-hmm. Instead of, sometimes I talk to a client and they say, so I won't have any emotions anymore, or I will be able to pick out only the emotions I like. Mm-hmm. No, that would be amazingly dull.
Exactly.
You don't want that. You want to feel fine having emotions. You want to enjoy them more instead of less. You don't want to get a cold person.
Yeah.
It's just it's way less personal than you think. And if you really feel that for yourself, you really deeply experience that for yourself, you're way more welcoming to everything that happens to you.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest, one of the biggest changes I see within myself, but also with other people.
Yeah, it's so true, because I almost feel more, you know.
You probably do, because you're not constantly, like screening off everything, because you're not really scared anymore for what's happening.
Exactly. And my own experiences, I mean, I can cycle through I can be in I can have a tantrum, a bad mood, and I just let it rip through me, and I'm over it. And it's usually like in my own head that it's happening, but there's no need to control and squish down and judge it. It's just like, hey, this is what the emotion or the energy that's rushing through me in this moment, and it's going to pass. So there's and
sometimes it's really cool to hang in, to just lean into it. I demolished a printer 2 days ago. I hate printers. They hate me back. So they always they break down in my house, and I had to do a quick print, and it did, and it just gave these error codes constantly. Mm-hmm. And then I thought, I'm going to slap this printer. I'm going to hit it with my fist. And I knew before I did it that it would be a really, really bad idea.
Yeah.
And I also know that it wouldn't make the printer print, and it wouldn't fix it. And I knew that it probably wasn't going to break it with hitting it with my fist. I did anyway, because I felt like doing it.
Yeah.
And it felt really cool. And I laughed so hard and then the printer was broke. I was like, I knew that. But it was like, it was indulging myself in this emotion.
It is. It's so fun. And that's exactly it. It's the ability to let whatever it is flow through us and laugh about it, and just not judge ourselves or take it so seriously. It's like, I just, I got caught up and now I'm not. But it's that lightness, like you said, it's the lightness each day. Each day gets a little lighter. So.
Yeah, it's actually a way more than like kids deal with emotions. Exactly. Like way more lightly, way more transparent, way more. We everything we do, we're all so passive aggressive about everything. And then we have this person, he said this to us, and we put it on Facebook, and then we collect people who agree with us, and we are like furious all day long, and then we feel like shit at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And then the next day, the whole story doesn't count anymore. And then we find something else, and we start all over again. I always thought that was how it worked. Mm-hmm. And you can always find a person who agree with you. Mm-hmm. Always. And then complain an hour to the other person. There's always some stories and wants to complain as well. So that's one of the things that's changed so much in my life. I never complain anymore. Mm-hmm. And never do it. Such a waste of time.
No, exactly. The resistance to what is. I mean, that's where the frustration comes. Is just, but as you said, the lightness in which we hold everything now is, things will move on. We don't have to wish it be different, because it's going to be.
Not every second of every day, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. But it's exactly. There's no need to resist it, because it's going to change anyway. So
there you go.
So tell me a bit more about what you'd like somebody to hear from you. Anything that you'd like to leave our listeners with? We're going to end in a few minutes.
Oh, okay. You mean like that, like famous last words or wise words?
Yeah, really. Actually, you can make them really bad words too, whatever you want. No pressure.
Yeah, thanks. I hear all these things about when people come across us that they think that they're going to be perfect people for the rest of their lives, and everything will be amazing and smelling like roses and stuff like that. I think that would make life really boring if everybody is like that. I'm more of the sloppy type of principled person. I like the raw edges. I like also the dark side of people. It's still there, and I'm not a big fan of dogmatic spirituality. It's like, you have to look a certain way in order to get more spiritual points. And I love normal people. I love people who love other people, but also have a crappy mood someday. Like normal stuff. That's what I like. You don't have to be holy people. You don't have to be examples to the community. We don't have to. You know, what I see is that the more you look in this direction, the more it comes out naturally. You want to be more loving to people, but you don't have to do it. It's just a consequence of being interested in this. So what I would like to say is stop pretending you're a spiritual person. Yeah. You don't have to, because you were born spiritual. It's the most normal thing in the world.
I love that. And I love that, you know, embracing our shadow as well, because I don't think we were designed to just live half these sort of emotions that we have the capacity to feel. I think we were born into this world with this wide range of emotions, and some of them, you know, we've considered sort of not so desirable, like sort of greed, jealousy, anger. But I just think that, you know, we were given all those emotions, and it's okay to feel them all.
Yeah, well, you know, go to a bank in Holland, and all the things you said were not so desirable are very desirable there.
Yeah.
Like greed and aggression and being a psychopath. So it's not even that it's a universal thing.
No, exactly. Yeah.
But we just simply, we thingify everything. So we become spiritual, and then we do all the things that we think spiritual people do. So we don't curse anymore, and we do meditation 2 hours a day, even if we hate it. And I think, no, you don't have to do that. Just live your life and treat people the way you want to be treated. It's actually 100%. Very simple.
It really is. And I will say that I do think that's what's so fabulous about the principles is, out of all this sort of, I've been on every spiritual path that ever, you know, Buddhism to Taoism to, you know, the Sikhs, everything. You know, and I think when I came across the principles, it really was so much more just embrace your humanity. You know, we're the formless beings in the form, and just to sort of embrace all that brings with it. So I love that about this understanding. Yeah. Well, it's been really lovely talking to you, Marnix. So thank you so much for joining us today.
Likewise. Well, anytime. You know.
Okay, sounds great. And I can't wait to get your book. Tell us what it's called again.
Liking Life.
Liking Life, perfect. And also give me your website as well.
Yeah, it's www.marnix.nl or marnix.coach works fine as well. And it's in Dutch, but I have an English page, and I have all these English videos there as well. Okay. And I have this thing where it's called Meet Me in Amsterdam, and do these intensives when I invite people, and they come, you know, from other countries as well, and they stay here in Amsterdam for a few days. They have a nice hotel.
Sounds
and
wonderful.
I work with them for a couple of days. It's amazing. You know, for every person involved, for me, it's also really very cool. So I invite everybody to come over here.
Okay, sounds great. I might take you up on that offer.
Cool.
Okay,
cool.
Take care. It's lovely seeing you again. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you're interested in learning more about my coaching and mentoring packages, please reach out to me at Adey-Jones@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you.